Can we take a break? I have to pee.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll be right back. Fuck.
Taking a whiz, making it count. Got it into the bladder, y'all. Ooh, what a nice background. No, CGI. Or they just call it AI. I don't know. CGI, not cool anymore. AI only. Boop bop 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 be doo doo. Running backs, anyone? RBs for me. RBs for you. Okay.
Woo. All right, apologies.
Oh, not accepted. No, I'm just joking. I permit urination.
I took a lease out on your heart. I took a lease out on your heart. Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we're on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
How's it going? What a bold question, Christian. It's going just okay. I
Oh,
don't know if you noticed this, but I'm kind of on a skid in our
mm,
personal lives. I dropped 8 spots in the
mm,
Pick'em League after a really, really awful um, week 11. And then
damn.
now we're in the For the Belt League here, where
Mm.
we have what, like 7 teams that are 7-4, and
It is,
I'm the seventh team.
yeah,
It's a
damn.
big fall. It's a
Yeah,
big
that's
fall
tough. The
from
parity in that
second.
league is crazy right now. Like it's basically just yeah, 7 teams and then 5 of us are just fighting for the number one pick. But damn,
It's getting wild. I'm enjoying it though.
you'll be all right. You're gonna make it.
Fuck.
Well,
Do or don't, do or don't.
it'll be tough with because you got Bijan on a bye this week too.
Oh yeah, I got locked up, man. I'm pretty good. I
Okay.
play Hook'em this week, and
Oh,
then
gotcha.
yeah, and
That's a
then
good
I've
time.
got AJ and then Ian. So
Mm,
yeah,
nice. That's not
yeah,
bad.
all 7-4 teams except for yeah. That's I looked at it, and AJ and me are 6-7, and he has the exact same schedule as me. He just has
Oh,
Ian this week, then me, and then
oh damn.
Sap. So
Mm,
it's a chase. We're like 20-point separation on our
mm,
rankings. So
damn.
I
Well, I
get I
mean, one of
get sixth
those
or seventh every year. I was
the
like the survivor pool was my only chance. I just got creamed
that sucks.
the
That
final
sucks.
two.
Well, at least that means I think like Lance and we'll probably have to play like what, Tony and them? Or I don't know.
No.
The way we do the strength of schedule at the end of the year might help you out with some of those 7-4 teams.
Yeah, I looked at it and I think yeah, it doesn't matter. I checked it out, but it's gonna be tight. Honestly, it is what it is with me,
Mm,
you know.
gotcha.
I got my heart broken last year, limping in 6th place, and then that Tyler Lockett catch that was actually Jackson Smith and Jigba for the touchdown.
No.
All he needed was one more catch to get me in the next round. So I'm used to heartbreak. I'm here
Well,
for it. The good, the bad,
well, I'm
everything.
rooting for you. I'm on the very far outside looking in and probably not gonna have a chance. So I'm rooting for you, man. But
Appreciate it. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I have a chance, an outside chance in the D League, having a berserker team coming in. If I can make the playoffs, you guys are fucked.
Hmm.
But if not, then I'll be one of the best teams to not make the playoffs. One of my best teams to not make the playoffs for sure. But looking good there. They're good-ish there. Looking good and roasted. Looking good in fresh duds. Um, just another year for the bell to rebuild, but I've seen some flashes, so I'm feeling pretty good, and I'm decent in the Pick'em League as well. I didn't have a great week this week, so I fell a
Dude, you
couple
were on the
spots.
rise there for a
I
minute.
was, yeah, and so I hope I can. In fact, I need to make my Thursday night pick soon, but anyway,
Man, damn, I'm 7-4 or 8-3 in like all 6 of my sleeper leagues.
Nice. That's
So
awesome. I'm doing
I'm
pretty
having a
well
good year.
in redraft leagues, and the three dynasty leagues. I still have a chance, but anyway, that's not why we're here. We are here to follow up from last episode and talk about some skill position needy teams and the top prospects on the board. But first, I'm going to hit you with a new edition of the rookie roundup. I did my tier list, and we're gonna check on that at the end of the year. So instead of rolling through everyone, I am going to just go through a few of the highlights or potentially lowlights. This week, it's all highlights. Of some rookies that I want to touch on. So I'm going to start with a game I watched the entire thing of. I'm going to fall asleep a little bit, but that's
Hmm.
okay. The Packers Bears game and Caleb Williams, I think, arguably best game, if not arguably best game. Um, they changed the offense for him. He moved from like holding the ball forever to getting it out super quick, the fastest in that he has since joining the NFL. And he looked a lot sharper, was making good decisions. It seems like you could see where this offense was trying to go. And then he was able to use his legs to really make that game a game. In fact, we had to block a field goal to beat them. Um,
Yeah.
and he was whipping it around, man, and he looked good. I thought that was a promising development for a guy who had all the expectations in the world coming in. Another guy who had all the expectations in the world and has completely lived up to them was Brock Bowers, who dropped a 31 point fantasy game. He has something like 70 catches already, which I saw an interesting stat that he has more catches than Puka Nakua did last year at this exact time, which
What?
is just insane because
No.
Puka set the rookie catch record.
Hmm.
And we have a tight end who's doing that. And so just my word at Brock Bowers, just everything that he was hyped up to be and then some. And he's gonna have a great career going forward, potentially. Not potentially, it seems like. And then
Yeah.
lastly, a guy I want to hint on as well. Lad McConkey really seems to be hitting his stride with Justin Herbert. 6 catches this week, 123 yards, I think, and was one of the game sealing catches there at the end. And just, I mean, he just looks so smooth. Everything I kind of wanted him to be, and I'm just really excited about his potential with Justin Herbert, especially with Justin Herbert quietly playing just as well as like Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and all them. Maybe not just as well, but like he is
Such. That's fake news.
playing phenomenally well right now.
Yeah, it's the Will Disley effect, dude. Who saw that coming? Me 12 years ago. That's my love for Will Disley predates this podcast, and
Oh,
it's
damn. Well,
it's
I'm glad.
weird.
It's
I
good to
don't want
see
to.
him.
Yeah, I don't want to. It's like seeing an ex, dude. It's like glad you're doing well. Will
Cool.
Disley. Good
I'm glad you
Lord.
started going to the gym and stopped drinking so much when we broke up.
All
That
right.
kind of thing.
Made it out of Seattle and went straight to Los Angeles. Good for you, Good job, Will Disley. But no, man, that's cool. It was a big week. I was looking for the running backs, and I think Audric Estime was the fantasy points leader for rookie running backs at like 5.5. So
It's a
good thing is,
rough year for rookie running backs.
yeah. But we'll see what happens next year, man. Because between you and me, we're about to look at some skill position needy teams and kind of
Hmm.
start circulating the names of the guys we'll be looking at come next spring when it comes down to the draft.
Hmm.
So I'm personally pumped. We're talking a lot about the records. There's like 3 or 4 weeks left in your fantasy regular season, depending on how your format is. So it's kind of that time. It's that time where you need to start identifying, your hopes for the future and the value of your future picks and trying to pry away the future picks from those people who aren't quite there yet. So
Hmm.
with that in mind. That's a lot of projection, a lot of fantasizing about fantasy, but I think the best thing to do is kind of look at the needy teams and kind of see if we can figure out where we anticipate some of these players going.
Hmm.
It's never accurate, but sometimes it is. So it's very fun
Fair.
for me to do. And I know that you enjoy it too. It's the ultimate fantasy football when you pretend that you are a GM for all 32 teams and you're doing the entire draft by yourself.
Hmm.
So,
It is a fun
with
time. Spent a
yeah,
lot of
man,
hours doing mocks.
dude. And then watch it just scouting. I'm ready to
Yeah.
start scouting.
I am ready to get into that portion of the season for sure. I need to get in the film room. Anyway, take it
The off
away.
season is our on season. And so we're going to start with, arguably the most important position in the game, the quarterbacks.
Mm,
So when you think about, I'm just kind of going to go through NFL teams and you can correct me or tell me I'm crazy or share your thoughts. But when it comes to like quarterback needy teams, just trying to identify five teams that I think are seriously in need. Um, I'll throw out the Browns. Seem
mhm.
like they're going to have to do something. Whatever's going on with Watson is, I don't think it's something they should put any more effort into.
No,
Winston is,
he's fun, but
put butts in the seat, yeah, but not going to put rings on the fingers. So
mhm.
that's the ultimate goal. I don't know. I'll give you a opportunity to throw a name out there if you.
Oh, I mean, the biggest one to me, I mean, well, two really. The news of Daniel Jones's benching, I think is pretty huge and pretty clear indicator of where they're going. And then also like going to Tommy DeVito and not Drew Lock is it's an
Oh,
interesting move.
that
I
is
think
weird.
the tank is on in New York for sure. And then the Raiders, I think, are a very obvious candidate. I mean, they've been bouncing back and forth between AOC and Gardner Minshew um, all year, and that's obviously not sustainable. So I think those two are clearly up there.
Yeah, I like that. It's a clear top three with the Giants, the Raiders, and the Browns. So it gets a
Hmm.
little shaky from there. I think I'm willing to throw the Titans in there.
Yeah, I think Will Levis has a chance to. I mean, he played pretty well last week. He has a chance
Yeah,
to maybe convince them, depending on who's on the board and where they pick in the draft, obviously, because I don't,
sure.
this isn't the strongest quarterback draft after last year, I think. And so there's potential for maybe like, oh, let's go one more year with Mr. Mayonnaise. But I see it though for sure.
Yeah, depending on how they finish in general, um, they're probably not going to be. No, they've got the number two overall
As
projected
of
pick
now,
right now.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so it could go either way. But yeah, I think I don't know, man. Depending on who's on the board, that could be a thing that happens. But let's see. What about, man, this is where it gets tough. I'm staring at the Panthers thinking like, I don't know, let's see if they got another year with Young. But then
Yeah, that's an interesting one for
yeah,
sure.
the fifth spot here for me is kind of tough to fill. I throw
Hmm.
a lot of names out, but
New Orleans, another
yeah.
interesting name, depending on how bad they are. But I think Derek Carr is kind of locked into next year,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that fifth spot's kind of tough.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, Seattle kind of creep up as names. I feel like the Rams would be like a really
A dark horse.
obvious team to take a second rounder or something like that.
Mm.
So we'll just leave it at that. There's definitely four ironclad teams, but like you're saying, I mean, if you're looking at who is going to be available for these teams, it's kind of a slim year, as you mentioned. Um, I'm basically using I like the Tankathon. I trust them. I follow a lot of these
Mhm.
stats across the board, especially later in the season. But they've got Sador Sanders as their number one quarterback available.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably a pretty clear
Yeah,
choice.
think so.
Yeah, I think, I mean, they've got him mocked to Tennessee. So that'd be pretty interesting. But Right now, he's sixth on the season in passing yards, and it's kind of interesting. He's got some fun stats, like his completion percentage is third in all of college football.
Mm,
He's playing smart ball. He's playing really well and very successfully. But he's been sacked 31 times, which is third
goodness.
in all college ball too. So. That's kind of fun to think about. He's only has one game over 400 yards, which I'm always looking for like the major yardage milestones, guys that kind of put together big games coming
Mm,
out of college. And that game was against North Dakota State in week one. So he's not really like fireworks in the sky, but I mean, they're doing pretty well. They've only got two losses on the season, so he's leading a solid team. And his career has been like 3,200 yard plus seasons, just like across the board.
mhm.
Obviously, when he was at Jackson State, he was hitting the 30 and 40 TD mark. And now things obviously the competition level has gone up quite a bit, but he's still hitting 27 touchdowns this year, looking pretty sharp, but he doesn't have a lot of like rushing
Mm.
to his game, which I don't think is that big of a deal. But nowadays, especially with Jaden Daniels, you want to see what else these guys can do. So he
Yeah.
doesn't really add that element into it very much. But have you seen this guy play much?
I with everything I've got going on, I have not dug into the film room. That's why I'm excited. I mean, I've
Yeah,
seen a little bit here and there, but
I
not
haven't seen a
enough.
ton either, but
Yeah,
it's
I mean, I'm gonna warn everyone for this episode. I may be more of speculating than actual takes, but I promise you, I will dig into the film room and get going on these guys. But yeah, I have not watched a ton yet.
yeah, no big deal. I just his throwing mechanics are kind of like looks different to me. It's very
Mm,
snappy.
hmm.
It's kind of like it's almost like you watch it and it's like the same weird throwing motion, but like the ball does different things every
Oh,
time.
weird.
And it's almost like like it's been edited or whatever. It's
Hmm.
just kind of a strange. It's obviously this guy's been getting coached by the top quarterback coaches his whole life. So, but
Yeah.
he's doing really well. It looks really interesting. It looks robotic almost, but it's
Hmm.
pretty sexy. So, we'll give him that. And yeah, for me, I haven't seen a lot on these guys yet either, but this is that time of the year where I'm trying to just kind of pay attention and try to watch
Yeah.
a few more games,
Hit
especially a
him on the
lot of these
radar.
guys. Yeah, I might be setting out bowl games, so you kind of have to catch them down the stretch when they're still playing good ball. Which Cam Ward, Miami quarterback, um, he's 6'2", 225. It's pretty close to Sanders' size. He's leading all of college football with around 3,500 yards, and he's got 32 touchdowns
Wow.
on the year with only 6 picks. He's a very impressive quarterback. Like I said, I like that 400-yard mark, and he's hit it 3 times this year. Just kind of regularly kicking ass. And that Miami squad took its first loss this past weekend.
Damn.
Or their most recent game. So he's a winner as well. I'm pretty excited to see where he goes. They've got him as a top five guy, and it kind of like rounds out the kind of the first round quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Uh,
Tankathon has him going to the Giants, which would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, that'd be really good for them to get a true passer in there,
Hmm.
someone who can stand in the pocket and deliver. But yeah, he's pretty exciting. He too doesn't have a ton of rushing upside, so that's fine. But if you're into rushing upside, and I've definitely seen quite a bit of this guy play, they've got Jalen Melro up next in the third
Hmm.
spot, and they've got him probably towards the end of the first round. I'm not quite sure where they ended up, but I'd probably say he's going to be a first rounder. Um, right now, he's not.
They do not have him in the first round.
Yeah, I'd bet against that personally.
34th. They have him going 34th to the Browns.
Okay, well, that's a good spot for him. Um, Yeah, he's 44th in passing right now, so that's not wild, obviously.
Hmm.
But he's got 17 rushing touchdowns, which is seventh in all of college football players. So pretty awesome. He hasn't had too many awesome lights out passing attacks. His biggest game was against Georgia, where he had 374 yards. And I don't know if you remember that game, but it was a game where they were up by like 30 points at
Hmm.
halftime, and then Georgia almost came back. It was a weird one.
Yeah, it was super weird.
But I mean, he's a competent passer. He's had some like really nice throws, but he's running down the stretch, not even cracking 250 the past 5 weeks. So that's obviously not the strongest part of his game. He needs some development.
Gotcha.
But yeah, 15 touchdowns on the year, 6 picks, and it's really just the dual threat. I mean, he's a hell of a rusher. So, yeah, he put up 185 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground against LSU. That was just like a wild game that happened a
Wow.
few weekends back.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's definitely got some action going on. Um, but yeah, we'll see. I think whoever gets him will probably have fun. Hopefully it works out and it's not like a too much pressure. Some of these teams they draft guys and they need them to perform right away. I think if they can let someone like this incubate for a little bit, could be pretty good.
Cool.
But we got Quinn Ewers next, the Longhorn quarterback, and he's missed a little bit of time. He's 73rd on the season as far as passing yards. And I don't really have a lot to say about him at this point. I'm not super excited about him. But I don't know, he's keeping, Manning off the field. So he must be pretty good. I don't know. I don't have, like, I really don't have too much to say. I'm not super intrigued by him, but I'm sure he's got every opportunity to get out there and be successful. All these guys so far have been like right around 220, 6'2". He's a little lighter, 200 pounds, 6'2". So he's still got a decent frame to him.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, he's producing some pretty interesting wide receiver stats we saw last year, and there's some guys this year that are doing pretty well as well. So that's kind of just throwing that name out there. Nothing really to back it up.
Gotcha.
But then, yeah, Garrett Nessmeyer is the LSU quarterback,
Hmm.
rounding out the fifth spot here. And he's about the same size, 6'2", 200 pounds, but he's got quite a bit of more yardage going. Is close to 3,100, 22 touchdowns and 11 picks, and that's seventh in the passing yards amongst quarterbacks. So I like it. He's got 2 games over that 400-yard mark. And again, like not a rusher at all.
Hmm.
Doesn't really have too much to add in that department, but I don't know. He's pretty solid quarterback. So he didn't really have much of a background. Obviously, we know there's some other LSU quarterbacks
Hmm.
the past few years. So we are looking at a 1 year sample size for him. So do with that what you will.
Gotcha. Yeah, all three of the guys you just mentioned are all going in the second round, according to Tankathon, to the Browns, Raiders, and Steelers, respectively.
Oh, okay. Well, I do have to throw an honorable mention out there. I like Jackson Dart. I know he's old.
Out of Old
Um,
Miss, yeah.
yeah, I think he's a hell of a quarterback.
Mm,
Right now, he's number 2 in passing yards, and he's really just lighting up the world these past couple of weeks, supporting some really strong wide receiver outings. He's got that 500-yard game with 6 touchdowns against Arkansas a few weeks ago, and he does add a little bit more in the running game. So nothing major to say about him. He's not on the top 5 there, but I
just a
like
guy
him.
you like. Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, at the end of
All
all
right.
these, I'm going to throw just a sixth guy in there that I like
Word.
getting excited about.
Sounds good.
Well, yeah, I mean, quarterbacks in the bag. Should we move on to the RB
Yeah, that's where I like to
sectional?
be.
Hell yeah, buddy. Well, as far as the needy teams, this dude, Arby's is so weird because it's like, who's getting drafted in the fourth round, you know? Because
Yeah, that's fair.
anybody's pick on these guys, and we've seen it. Like we've seen this weirdness happen, like the Gibbs thing, almost like the Bijan thing. It's like it's not necessarily the biggest needy team that's taken these big dogs. So,
Hmm.
with that in mind, I mean, broken records all the way through here, but the Cowboys, can we
Yeah,
do something?
big time.
Just a little bit, yeah. Um,
The Cowboys, just real quickly, are an interesting one because I keep seeing them mocking running back in the first round, namely Ashton Genty. And I just it makes sense, but I don't think do the Cowboys not have way more needs than to be taking a first round running back?
yeah, they do.
Like, I feel like they need offensive line, they need a secondary receiver, they need defensive help. Like, they just don't seem like the team to take a running back in the first, especially they're projected with the ninth overall pick right now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But they got to do something, man. Like,
Yeah, for sure. I think they make a move for a running back. I don't think it's in the first for them.
no, I'm with you. They got kind of straight up embarrassed last year by the
Hmm.
draft, if you ask me. A lot of
Yeah.
whiffing and waiting, and
Yeah.
ended up with Zeke and Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
So Rico. Um, yeah, so I got them for sure. The Raiders
Yeah,
are
big
kind of
time.
a gimme.
Hmm.
From there, I don't know for sure if I see any like glaring teams. I put Pittsburgh on there just because they didn't do the fifth year with Najee.
Yeah, I could see that. And Jalen Warren didn't pop the way we thought.
Yeah.
I would throw out Cincinnati.
Yep.
I think is one. The Zach Moss experiment didn't really work. And then Chase Young has been fine, but
It's
they are
okay.
definitely missing a Joe Mixon like
Dude.
element.
Yeah, Joe Mixon is quietly having his Saquon Barkley low profile
Hmm.
season over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you for sure on that. I guess the couple possibles are um I put the Chargers and then
Yeah,
maybe the Broncos. It's
I
kind
could see
of,
that.
but
Hmm.
definitely with the Chargers. I like what's going on with J.K. Dobbins, but I feel like you can't really build your future around that situation. So,
No, I don't think so either. I'll throw one more out.
okay.
The Vikings.
Oh yeah, sure.
I could see the Vikings making a move. I mean, Aaron Jones is getting older. He's been great this year, but I could see them making a move. Maybe not
Okay.
early, but taking one of these guys.
Well, and let's just get into who they may end up with if they were going to go that route. And
Okay.
I think that there's like, limited surprise at the first name being mentioned here, Mr. Ashton Genty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude's a juggernaut, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Absurd.
he's seriously out of control. I mean, honestly, it's whatever. So he's got almost 1,900 yards, 26 touchdowns, over 7 yard average. And the receiving, he's only at like 100 yards, but it's not necessary. It's not part of his game.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. One, two, three, four games over 200 yards,
Jesus.
multiple touchdowns in like pretty much all games except for three.
Hmm.
The six touchdown game to open the season, just to let everybody know, like, keep my name in mind. Here it comes. But yeah, I mean, he's a clear cut number one, possibly top 10 draft pick. And I don't
Possibly
know.
Heisman winner.
Yeah, I don't know. I think probably Travis Hunter's going to win the Heisman, but we'll see what happens. We'll
Mm.
see what happens. I don't know, man. I was just talking about this the other day. It's a tough call, but yeah, Boise State, obviously 5'9", 215, just doing it right. Yeah, I don't know. Have you caught any of his
Oh
ball?
yeah, big
Yeah,
time. Yeah,
it's
if I'm gonna watch anybody, it's the running backs.
hell yeah. So yeah, there's not much to say about him. He's popping way off the screen, and I think we can all get pretty excited about that. He did have 1,300 yards last year, so it's not like this
Hmm.
is out of nowhere. He's legit. So
Yeah, absolutely.
speaking of last year, the number two guy on their list is the Ollie Gordon. So
Hmm.
Oklahoma State. Kind of having a different kind of year this year. He's 44th in the rushing rankings right now, and he only has 714 yards, but 10 touchdowns still, which is like a decent number for that limited
Yeah,
yardage.
for sure. And
But
he's a bigger back too, which is nice. Listed 6'2", 225. Could definitely have a different element in some of these offenses. And real quickly, I just wanted to point out Tankathon has Cincinnati taking Ashton Genty,
oh shit, dude,
which could be
that's
interesting.
stanky, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that could be
they'd be
fun.
like T. Higgins who, you know what I mean? Don't fix what's not broke. That would make that team scary. Well,
Yeah, it
scary
would.
and scary, whatever. They're still kind of cursed, but whatever. They'd be scary. I like that. Ollie Gordon, man, he was the guy. Like, if you let's just say you ended your fantasy season last year
Mhm.
and you were like, oh, I'm just gonna go to, the Bahamas for a full year and let my team tank. I'll have the 101, and when I get back, I'll just take Ollie Gordon and it'll be
hmm
over. And then now you come back and you're like, the dude's only got 700 yards. Like, what is happening? I'm kind of freaking
hmm
out. I don't know who Ashton Genty is. And that's because last year, Ollie Gordon had 1,732 yards, and 21 touchdowns. I think he was the Doak Walker Award winner last
hmm
year. Just completely awesome. But the whole team, like the whole Oklahoma State team, is on a skid. They've only won 3 games this season, so
Yeah,
um,
that's hurting him for sure. I do want to make a quick parallel to another guy who was at Oklahoma State who blew up a year before, and then
yeah,
his last year did not do so well. A guy who just got paid in the NFL in the
nuts.
name of Chuba Hubbard. So let's not be out on these guys just because they have a down year in their final year. We've seen it from Ollie Gordon. I think he's a beast. I still think he's going to be worth it, and we'll see him probably go in the second round, I'd imagine.
I like that. It's good that, yeah, apparently the industry as a whole is not giving up on him, which is
hmm
pretty solid, man. It's because we got some guys on this list that should have been given up on by now. Um, and some of that is due to, competition with teammates. So as
hmm
we get into, let's see, Quinshawn Judkins, a name that I'll never get used to saying. Um, we got your Ohio State running
hmm
backs. What have they ever done? Um, so 5'11", 210, and he's got the usage is lower for him. He's only got 723 yards and 8 touchdowns, but he still has 6 yard average. I should have mentioned Ollie Gordon does have 130 receiving yards. Judkins is around 100, but yeah, it's only 121 carries, so
hmm
he's been underutilized, kind of really efficient. Just really quiet games. Like he only has 2 games over 100 yards. To me, it's just hard to project what you're doing here, but you can at least rely on the past 2 years when he was in Old Miss. Previously, he had 1,150 yards in 2023, 15 touchdowns, and then 2022, it was a 1,500 yard season, 16 touchdowns. So the guy's been busy, the guy's been successful. He's just not getting loaded up with work right now, but he's still like, efficiency wise off the charts. So we'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, both the Ohio State guys are efficiency wise tearing it up.
Hell yeah. Yep, efficiency wise, but that's not always enough. A guy who is tearing it up regardless
Mm.
is let's see, Omeron Hampton. And I practice saying these names all the time. I can't do it on the fly. But Omeron is 6 foot 220, so he's a bigger guy. He's a NC State, or no, North Carolina, University of North
Yep.
Carolina, which we historically have enjoyed running
hmm
backs out of that school.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but he's cutting it up, man. 1,400 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he's got 281
14
receiving yards.
touchdowns.
Yeah, there you go. Phew. Numbers, dude, math is hard. Reading is worse, but yeah, 14 touchdowns, 1,400 yards. Looking pretty solid, man. I've
Hmm.
caught a few of his games. He's coming off a 1,500 yard 2023 with 15 touchdowns and comparable passing work. So I
Yeah,
think he's got,
281 on the passing yards, which is the most, or the receiving yards, which is the most out of any of the guys we've talked about.
yeah, I think as far as like well-rounded play, he's there. Like if you look at his box scores, like he's over 100 yards on most all of his games. He's got a few 200-yard games, so he's like a really consistent producer, getting pretty consistent workload. Just kind of the kind of I don't know, like I would rather almost see a guy who's just out there grinding in a pretty legitimate competition level
Hmm.
and being successful in multiple sectors of the game. And just kind of how we always see these North Carolina running backs come out. But hopefully he can be one of those guys that has the staying power in the pros. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you're still talking about time capsules, like I often do when I'm talking about Ollie Gordon, you're really going to enjoy this conversation coming up about Travion Henderson.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 5'10", 214. This guy was like all the rage after going for 1,250 yards in 2021. Yes, 2021, a
Wow.
year we're still talking about. And that year he had 15 touchdowns and just looked like he was about to be the man with the plan. But now we're rolling in. Here we are, some 3, 4 years later, and he's sharing the field with Judkins as we've already established. And now it's not really, I mean, it's not really popping off. He's got 662 yards, 5 touchdowns. His average is 7.4, which is outstanding, and
Hmm.
it does have 100 receiving yards, but it's just can't I can't be impressed by it. He hasn't broke the 1,000 yard mark in the past 3 seasons.
Hmm.
So I'm looking for obviously a supplemental role at the next level. And so this is kind of what we're talking about with the drop off when it comes to running backs going into next year's draft class. It's kind of it doesn't have the depth in my opinion,
That's fair. I can see it.
but I do like Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. I won't go too deep on him, but he is 1,300 yards and 20 touchdowns. So that 20 touchdown number is pretty serious.
Yeah,
It's
oh
pretty
yeah.
close to Genty up there. So
Oh yeah, for sure. Looks good.
we'll keep him. But we gotta
All
go.
right.
We gotta go back to the NFL squads.
Yeah, let's get some wide receiver talk in, huh?
Oof. No, let's tear them down, dude. I got Carolina.
Yeah.
on
Oh yeah, big time. Hmm.
Carolina's on
Carolina
the
needs
list.
another body for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's kind of a broken record at this point.
Hmm.
Um, Cleveland, I'm hitting the Browns on this one too.
Okay.
It's kind of a roll of the dice, I guess, if you like Jerry Judy.
Hmm.
Honestly, I kind of went through this before Jerry Judy had the game of his life last week. But I still agree. New England,
Yeah, they need an alpha for sure.
the Raiders,
Yeah, big time.
yeah, it can't just all be tight ends there. Hopefully, we can get some awesomeness going out of to Michael Mayer now that he's back out there. And then
Yeah.
I couldn't really. Do you have another one? I have one, but I feel foolish saying it out loud.
I have a few teams that could use a second guy. So I'm just gonna pepper spray this. Cowboys could use a
Yep,
second guy. The
for sure.
Broncos could use a second guy.
100%.
Jaguars, with Christian
Mhm.
Kirk's injury, we don't know where that's gonna go, and Gabe Davis even getting injured. So someone to pair with Brian Thomas. The Giants, I think, need
Mhm.
a second guy. The Jets, depending on what happens with Adams,
Mhm.
I think, and the Commanders, I
Okay.
think, could use a second guy.
Okay. Well, I put the Saints on here,
Okay, Saints make sense too.
and yeah, it's I don't know. They're really rolling out the the injury brigade right now, and it's kind of a
Hmm.
bummer. But it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to pick teams that couldn't use another receiver. It's like
Yeah, for
Green
sure.
Bay and Chicago are the only teams that are like we're good.
Yeah, which
So
ironically, Tankathon has the Packers taking a receiver in the first round, which
what?
is not happening. I promise you. It
Yeah,
didn't happen when they needed to take a wide receiver. So,
I have to look at that. Who do they have on there?
they have Isaiah Bond.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep. There you go. Well, let's get into it, man. Here's my
Okay.
front runner for the Heisman Trophy. Travis Hunter. This
Mm,
guy obviously out of this world when it comes to being a wide receiver. He's kind of all over the place, a little bit underutilized, in my opinion, because he's
playing
also a
corner.
cornerback. And I think like a lot of people are projecting him as a corner, but I think I don't know, man. I can't say for sure, but I like him as a wide receiver. So far this year, he's only has 900 yards and 9 touchdowns, which isn't too bad. I think that's like 11th on the rankings. Um, but yeah, he's been over 500 yards 5 times this year, and I don't know. He's got some pop games. It's really kind of spread out. It's more interesting what kind of an athlete he is. And then he has like the 5-star, rating. He was the number one recruit in the 2020 going into college. And obviously he's pretty well known nationally for
For
everything he's
sure.
doing. So I don't know. He's an exciting player. It's just hard to project when he's playing both ways. Like I can't wrap my head around it personally.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough. I don't think that continues in the NFL though.
Yeah, you think he's
He's gonna get picked to be one or the other, I think. And
I think it'd be
they
better
might
if he played corner personally.
yeah. They might throw him out occasionally, kind of like what Troy Brown they used to do that with the Patriots or whatever. But the NFL,
Mhm.
there's just too much of a chance of somebody getting hurt if you're playing on both sides and you're investing too much because he's gonna go in the first round.
Right.
Obviously. And so yeah, I just don't see a team signing up for that.
Nice. Yeah, I'm pumped to see how it goes.
Oh
The
yeah.
world is captivated by whatever's going on in Colorado. So, yeah, next up we've got T Mac
Yep.
coming out of Arizona, and I like him, man. So he's third ranked on the season so far
Makes
with
circus
11.
catches a lot.
Dude, crazy catches. Yeah, he's got 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. And this guy that hit an early season boomer, and he's playing with his college quarter or his high school quarterback. So it's kind of fun to see that kind of dynamic
Hmm.
go up. But he's got some blow up games that have been pretty good. Um, he's got a game over 300 yards and one game over 200 yards, but then he's got like a ton of under 50 games too. So
Hmm.
kind of hot and cold. This team's not doing too hot, but he's 5 foot or 6 foot five, 212
Woof.
pounds, which is like I mean, you
Absurd.
can't. Yeah, I'm here for that. Obviously, a little more weight on that frame would be good, but
Hmm.
this guy's making life look really easy for himself, as evidenced by that bomb year he had last year, 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns. And I'm saying bomb year now, so get ready for that. But yeah, T Mac's pretty awesome, man. I've enjoyed him.
No, he's incredible to watch. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. I'm also interested to see his combine stuff.
Right. Yeah. All these wideouts, they're kind of
Uh-huh.
mysterious this
Yeah.
year. Um, we got Luther Burden up next, the Mizzou guy. He's 5'11", 208. And it's kind of a slower year for him. He's got 574 yards and 5 touchdowns, but he's a very aggressive player.
Yeah.
It's got really nice hands. I have seen a little bit of him, including like watching the game last weekend. This is South Carolina versus Missouri. It's like 21 versus 23 on the ranking. and they went like down to the wire. Pretty
Hmm.
exciting stuff. And he had a sweet catch that was like a one-handed bucket catch, like over the shoulder. It was like a
Wow.
one-handed catch below the shoulder, and it was nuts. It was left-handed. He was like running the sideline. It was crazy, but it kept his team in the game, and it was just like it was pure sexy. I was like, okay, I get it. With Luther, people are very excited about him. Obviously, sparked
It's
by a
fair.
1,200-yard season last year, 9 touchdowns,
That
but
helps.
absolutely. All right. Next up, we've got Egbuka, Ebeka Ibuka. So talk about another guy that was number one in his class. He's a little older, so I think it's a
Hmm.
2021 class. He was the top guy as far as five-star recruits go,
Hmm.
and he's playing at Ohio State. He's 6'1", 205. This year, a little slow. He's got only 600 yards and 8 touchdowns. But he's had some better years, including 2022 when he had 1,150 yards and 10 touchdowns. So he hasn't really been on the field quite as much, definitely not being utilized very heavily. Um, he's got like a combined 10 catches over the past 4 weeks. So it's just not really going his way. But he still has the pedigree. He's got the name value. He's got the recruitment value, and he's a Buckeye wide
Yeah,
receiver, so he's going to get the Buckeye bump.
for sure. Absolutely. Well.
And then last on the top five here, we've got Isaiah Bond.
Hmm.
He's out of Texas, kind of a slower year for him. He's missed a little bit of time. He's 5'11", 180. So far, he's not even made it to the 500-yard mark, and he only has 5 touchdowns. So it's kind of a bummer. He doesn't really have too many previous years kicking ass. Obviously, he was sharing the field with Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell last year, but he still managed around 700 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's got a nice average, a 16-yard average. So he's can definitely play some ball, but just kind of a slow year. He's not really had any big pop games. Only
Gotcha.
made it over 100 yards once, and that was against yeah, the University of Texas, San Antonio. So not really kicking all the butt, but he's an exciting player. People are excited about him. He's got some speed to him. And I remember some big games last year when he was still on the field with those other guys. So
Hmm.
I don't know. He's got a lot of potential, but again, just kind of following the names at this point.
All right. Yeah. Who's the guy you like?
The guy I
Uh,
like is Trey Harris. So
okay.
he's feeding
Another Ole
off
Miss
of
guy.
yeah, he's feeding off of the Jackson Dart combination. He's just
Gotcha.
under 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns, and he's bigger. I like guys that have some size to him. He's over 200 pounds and he's 6'2". So like to be a wide receiver and weigh more than 200 pounds is becoming a rare thing these days. Which
That's
is
fair.
driving me nuts, but he's got good size to him. So
All right.
I'm
Nice.
into it, man. And then finally, we're just going to end it with three tight ends.
Okay.
I feel like I don't know. I can't do tight end needy teams.
Yeah, it's kind of tough. I'd say what? Colts,
Yeah.
Broncos, Jets.
Yep.
Probably
Yep.
probably the three.
Yeah. Rams.
Rams could do it. Chargers maybe.
Yep. Yep. And then, yeah, Seattle and then Tennessee were it's a long list, but none of them are very solid. Um, but yeah, it's kind of a quick hit as far as the tight ends go.
Yeah.
Um, we've got some pretty outstanding names on here. There's yeah, Colston Loveland.
Loveland,
Yeah,
Michigan. Yep.
Michigan. So he's got 500 yards and 4 touchdowns so far this year. Had a pretty good 650 and 4 last year. Definitely a solid player. He's getting a lot of work for a tight end, 53 catches so far this year. But that's kind of the story of these pop guys this year. Tyler Warren, who is
Yeah.
out of Penn State, 6'6",
Big Danny fan.
257. Yeah. Man, these Penn State guys, I know he's going to be all over him. So look out. No one's getting him. Second round draft pick right here. But we talked about him in the Boomers recently
hmm
because he had that 224-yard game against USC. That was pretty massive. Obviously, his best performance, but he's consistently kicking ass. 800 yards, 5 touchdowns so far this year, 67 catches. There's a lot of work that you don't normally see at the tight end position. And, he had 7 touchdowns last year, only 400 yards, but it's going pretty well for him. Obviously, that's a good size tight end. Like these receiving tight ends are usually a little bit smaller, but he's got all the size. But he's definitely being one upped in a big way by Harold Fanning out
Hmm.
of Bowling Green, which is,
Okay.
a little bit smaller school, but this guy's 6'4". But he's got 1,170 yards and eight
Okay.
touchdowns. So like that's a big number. That's number two in all receiving, tight ends and wide receivers. So
Wow.
that's a serious number. And yeah, to be 6'4", 230, he's got some good size to him. So pretty excited about him, see where he ends up. Somehow these guys all have some pretty good rushing yardage too. I'm not even going to get into that. Tight ends, like
Running
tight
the
end in
ball.
college is such a fun position. It's
It's
like just
interesting.
athletic dudes who put the ball in their hand and see what happens. But
Yeah. Well,
but
there
that's
you
it,
have
man.
it.
I mean, shit.
Yeah, so that's our little preview. Those are some names that you should be looking at as we get towards the end of the college football season. So hopefully that was a little insightful for you guys. We will not be back next week as it is Thanksgiving and I am incredibly busy. So we will see you guys in 2 weeks. But until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Eat a turkey.
I took a lease out